Just got back from the gym. I got to get back into the gym. I've taken the past 2 weeks off. I've been in the gym once. Past 2 weeks. I needed this break because I've been doing this for so much of my life that it's no thing to me. It's no thing to me at all. It's no thing to me. So there are other things I want to do with my time. There are other things I enjoy. This really cuts into a lot of my life. So you have to love it. If you don't love it, it's like anything. If you don't love it, you're not gonna be all in. Anyway, so I'm reinvigorated now. I'm gonna get back into shape. I'm good to go. Ever since when I was 44, it was the strongest year of my life. When I was 45, I started having problems with injuries, and I wasn't lifting any new weights. I wasn't breaking any new ground. It's just that whatever hormones were involved with keeping my connective tissue healthy dipped below whatever the threshold was, crossed a certain line, and all of a sudden I just had back-to-back injuries. That year when I was 45, it seemed like when I turned 45, like that year, I just had so many injuries. And when I had the first one, I was like, I just blew it off. It was a freak thing, but then it continued. I had probably 4 tears that year. And then I realized something's going on, I'm going to have to wisen up. I can't keep doing this. I'll end up really messing myself up. So, and for me, that really took a lot out of it, because my favorite thing about all of it was I liked to build the muscle, but I loved to lift heavy weight. That's what did it for me. It wasn't, I never really enjoyed competitions, bodybuilding. I never enjoyed that. I enjoyed, being the mass monster. I liked being all cut up and being lean and all that shit when I would get, ready to do something, but I didn't really, it's always anticlimactic to me. So the thing for me that kept me captivated and interested was actually the strength, was actually lifting the heavy weights. That's what I enjoyed. So when I really couldn't do that anymore, and by the way, for all the little busters out there that really have no clue or totally clueless, I probably could have just said, well, you know what, I'll just go on GH and I'll just use enough GH that'll protect my connective tissue and I can continue to lift heavy. But that wasn't a consideration because I'm a practical, pragmatic person, and I'm like, I'm not going to take all that bullshit like that. You little busters, you think what you want to think. You don't know the deal. You don't know the deal. You think you know the deal. Anyway, that took a lot of the fire out of me when I really couldn't lift those weights like that anymore, when it became really precarious. Eventually, I changed the way that I worked out, and I found a way to hold most of my size, or a lot of size. I still never had, the density that I had when I lifted the heavy shit. I never regained that, but I found a way to stay pretty good size without lifting mad heavy weights. Now, I'm not saying I didn't still lift. I still would go to 405. I mean, you have to consider size, at a big size, I was lifting heavy shit. So I still, even training with Val up until this slap tear like 4 or 5 years ago, I always went at least to 405 every bench workout. It wasn't a big thing, and it wasn't no bouncing, it wasn't none of the crazy shit. It was control because I'm not trying to get injured. It wasn't a heavy weight for me. But more than, I would go up and touch it as a single, and it wasn't my max, but I would hit it as a single, the way that I schedule my chest workout, right? And then I would come down, and then 315 was my rep weight, and I would get like 15, 16 reps with that, and those were my mass gain sets, But the thing about getting older, is you eventually will have to make compromises. Now, I'm the guy that always said and told other people and believed it wholeheartedly that once you begin to make concessions, it's all downhill from there. And I'm going to tell you the God's honest truth is I still believe that. Once you begin as an older guy, if you can still continue to do it, then keep doing it, as long as you're not tearing yourself up and doing yourself harm. But if you begin to make concessions, which you don't really have to make yet, it is all downhill from there. And so today, where I'm at now, recently, a few weeks ago, I had started benching heavy again, fairly heavy, and just playing around with what can I put on the shoulder, how much can I, and that's not the smartest thing for me to be doing anyway at this age, but I started doing that. And I started thinking, I like lifting heavy, man. There's so many younger guys now that are lifting heavy that I hang out with and train with. I'd like to lift a little bit more weight. But truth of the matter is, I have no business trying to do that. It's cost versus reward, and it's not worth the risk. Risk versus reward. It's not worth the risk. I'm not any more durable than I was when I was 45 and started having the injuries. So whatever was at fault there still exists. So, I've made that concession. I can't go heavy like that. And so I don't have a lot of interest in doing shit like, I might like to think that I do. And maybe I could do it. Maybe I could do like a push-pull. And here or there, and maybe I could get lucky and not get hurt and move some respectable weight. But here's the whole thing. Even if that happened, first off, it's not worth the risk, because the risk is higher than for all them other guys. It's a greater possibility that I'm going to get hurt. And number two, no matter how much I manage to lift, even if it's decent, even if it's somewhat impressive, it's never going to be what I used to lift. It's never going to be what I used to lift. I will never lift those weights again. I've long accepted it. I physically cannot. Okay? The Toby Keith song, Ain't As Good As I Once Was, but I'm as good once as I ever was. Well, that's kind of me. I accept that, and I realize that. I am not as good as I used to be. In every regard. The only thing that's improved is I'm a little sly. I have a little bit more wisdom. I have a little bit more, I hope, common sense. I'm a little more pragmatic. I'm a little more mature. I got a ways to go. I'm not saying that I'm the example, stellar, shining example of all these things. But for me, I've made good progress over the years, and I continue to try to make progress, hopefully. But, I will never, nothing in any regard. And so I'm long past that. And you will get there one day. And it doesn't even matter if you're still lifting weights, because really the majority of you younger cats, you won't still be lifting my age. You won't still be lifting my age. You won't, because, you'll be married, you'll be old, you'll be tired, you'll be this, you'll be that. Your test is lower than mine probably, because every generation's sperm counts dropped over 41% in 4 decades. Now it's even more. So if it continues at that pace, where's it going to be in 20 more years? And testosterone follows sperm count. And that's why, like LabCorp, a couple years ago, they released a bulletin. It's just for general knowledge and information. It wasn't a secret. It's not a conspiracy. It's out there. It's truthfulness. That they, once again, lowered the range for what they consider to be normal test levels in men. Okay, so test levels keep going down, estrogen keeps going up, and it is what it is. It's not bullshit, it's real shit. You think it doesn't affect you? It affects you. Okay, even at my best day in my youth, my test level was never as high as probably my great-grandfather's was, right? Or those guys fighting in World War II. Average guy then, average guy today, no way. We already know it's dropped 41% in 40 years. So, you guys, you younger guys, that's what you got to look forward to. I'm not saying there aren't outliers. There are in everything. But, and you may still have a decent, reasonable level. I'm not saying that you don't, that nobody does. But whatever it is, if you had been born, 20, 30, 40 years ago, then from your birth date, if you've been born earlier, that much earlier, you would have substantially higher test levels. It's just your genetics. So if you're still in the medium, range of what's normal, you'd have probably been, who knows, damn near twice that had you been born 40 years earlier or 30 years earlier even. That's all I'm saying, and it's a fact. So for me, I have nothing to prove, because I cannot I can't repeat or recapture those days. I cannot. There's no do-overs and there's no turning the clock back. I cannot ever again bench as much as I used to. I can never deadlift as much as I used to. I could never squat as much as I used to. It's as simple as that. It's one little teeny facet of a multifaceted life and existence. It's not the end of the world. Like I said, there's trade-offs too. I certainly am wiser. I certainly am more sly, you know. So, you know, that's just what it is. That's just what it is. I look at things differently. I appreciate things differently, you know, than when I was a kid and younger. But it's trade-off, and it's a huge trade-off, and you're going to get there. You're going to get there, and you're going to know what I'm talking about. Like I said, probably when you get to be my age, a lot of you younger cats, you're not going to be lifting anymore because you're going to be overwhelmed with everything else going on in your life, and you're going to find out how difficult it is to look like this at my age, you know, when you get there. And, you know, God only knows how many more of these environmental disruptors, endocrine disruptors, that's what they call them. Endocrine disruptors. There's a whole class for them, a whole category, because there's so many out there. It's all of it. The radiation, the microwaves, all the shit going through you all the time, 24/7, and it's, you know, it's all over the place. And all this crap, you know, like I've told you before, freshwater fish, you know, in our tributaries in the United States here, you're finding out that they're hermaphroditic now, that they're turning into female fish. The males are turning female. The thing with the gay frogs, I'm sure you've heard that, right? That's a real deal, man. Frogs, they're finding male frogs now that produce eggs which are fertile. You know, so, you know, it's all over the place. Nobody focuses on what really matters because there's no downside. There's no downside to emasculating men in our society. Already subtly, and it's really not that subtle if you're an older guy, you see it a mile away, they're already trying to get you used to it, to get you on board. They're doing it to you anyway. It's happening to us all anyway. But they're already trying to peddle this shit, you know, politically and sociologically, you know, that all these qualities of masculinity are now demonized so much. Like I said, there are still a lot of men out there. There's younger guys that are still real men, but you're not what you could have been. And if things continue the way they are, you know, you're looking down a barrel of a gun that's gonna, you know, blast the living shit out of masculinity. They want that shit eradicated. You know, men start all the wars, men commit all the crimes, men are harder to control, men, you know, everything, all the way down the pike. So there's a real downside to our society with what it's becoming or trying to become in this one world type of view. There's no downside to squashing masculinity, except for you and me. You know, personally, it's a huge downside. But I guess there ain't much can be done about it. So anyway, that's why, you know, there's no point in me trying to do a push-pull meet. There's no point in, yeah, I'd like to think that it would be cool. But even if I made a decent showing or a good showing, it still ain't shit compared to me at my best. I'll never be that again. So why be mediocre? You know, I can't go and compete against younger dudes and all. There were guys there at that little push-pull meet that were pushing 500 pounds, damn near 500 pounds raw. Damn near. I'll never push 500 pounds raw again, you know? Is what it is. Is what it is. So, you know, all those days are behind me. My best days in those regards are certainly behind me. Anyway, that's what it's like getting old. That's what it's like. I'm just out here trying to do my thing, just trying to hang on. And you older guys out there, like I said, if you don't have to make concessions, okay? If you're not doing yourself any harm, then by all means, don't do it. Because once you do it, it's going to be difficult, if not impossible, to turn back around if you change your mind. So keep going hard as long as you can. Unless you're hurting yourself. If you're doing yourself harm, you're doing yourself damage, you will pay the price for that. It becomes compounded and chronic. So you probably, should just accept that you're going to have to ease up some or change some things. Now, I'm still pretty strong. I'm still stronger than most guys, most younger guys even. But, like I said, risk versus reward. If I really have to use that much strength that I'm risking an injury, if it's a life-threatening situation or if it's something worth it, then, let's go, let's get down, let's do what we got to do. But why am I going to do it? Trying to demonstrate that I'm only half a man that I used to be anyway. You know what I mean? And risk getting injury. No. Now, like I said, it comes down to it, bleed or come, then, we're going to do what we got to do. And if you get hurt, you get hurt, like anything. Maybe you won't, but the risk is too great just to be playing with it and tempting fate for no really good justifiable cause. And that still, I have to keep in my head. I still have to keep that in my head, that I'm not those younger guys, man. I'm not those younger guys. Just because I still can hold more muscle and all that shit, it's only because of how long I've been doing it. I'm not those guys. And, this is their time. So that's where I stand on all this. But I will say this to everybody, do your thing, man, and don't let anybody rain on your parade. You don't have to prove or satisfy anybody else except for yourself. In that regard, certainly challenge yourself, certainly push the boundaries, but use some wisdom too, and common sense, especially as you get older. There's a cat on here now, like I've talked about this jackass before, and he thinks he's a master of bodybuilding. And this guy isn't a bodybuilder, that guy isn't a bodybuilder, he's not a bodybuilder, all these guys, all these cats, he says, Jerry's not a bodybuilder, I'm not a bodybuilder, I don't know who else, Jay Cutler, not a bodybuilder, all these guys are not real bodybuilders, they're all fake, because our training is fake. We don't know how to train. Our training's fake. So we're not bodybuilders. All I got to say to a guy like that is, fuck you, bro. You know what I mean? I've been doing this a lot longer than you have, but you've been doing it probably near 30 years. And if I were a mean-spirited person, I would say, you need to really get undressed and stand in front of the mirror. You know what I mean? Because I don't know what in the hell you're seeing, what kind of carnival mirror you're looking in. But that shit ain't bodybuilding. That's called body wrecking. That's body fucking wrecking. You're no master of bodybuilding if it took you 30 years to do that to yourself. Anyway, that's all I got to say. That's uncharacteristic of me to say something mean. But I don't like bullies. I do not like bullies at all. Don't like them. And there's no need for it. And if you're not really like that, why would you pretend to be that? At least Jason Blahos's funny. And at least you can see through a lot of his, you can see that it's put on. That he's getting the last laugh. I think he crosses boundaries sometimes, but that's my opinion. But there are some genuinely caustic, hateful individuals out there that just, you need to find another way to promote your shit. Because that's all it's about. You want to talk about who's fake, that's fake shit, man. That's fake shit. That you just say or do anything and sell you might as well just start selling your ass just to try and promote your little channel. I've never done it. How many times you even heard me say, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give me a thumbs up. No, I don't say that shit. I don't give two shits about you do that shit or not. I only want the people that belong here, man. I only want the people that belong here. That's all. That's it. I'm out of here. Just some reflections on the night. You keep doing your thing, man, and don't let people get you down. Don't let the bastards get you down. There are more good people than bad people, but there are some shitty people out there, man. And you know what? It's not the right thing. Once in a while, people need a knot yanked in their ass once in a while. They do. That's the reality. That's the reality. The reality is in the real world, not in this two-dimensional video shit. In the real world, that's what people like that deserve. If that's what you really are, and if that's not what you really are, then who's fake? But if that's what you really are, is a POS, that just gets the rocks off on bad-mouthing people, talking down to people, this person is, insulting everybody, then that ain't worth a shit. That ain't worth a shit. And in real life, like I said, I got no tolerance for bullies. None. And I'm not perfect yet. You know what I mean? Not perfect yet. So, contrary to the little busters, yeah. Anyway, that's it. That's it. I'll catch you guys later. I'm going to go drink some Fairleaf and get my old, tired ass to bed. Take care. Have an awesome evening.